Hello everyone, just a quick word from your friendly editor/husband. For all of you who listen to So I'm Watching This Show and own an Android device, do me a favor. Go to the Google Play Store and download the Podcast Republic app. It's a fantastic app that allows you to get all of your favorite podcasts directly on your Android devices. I use the app and love it. I can search for the podcasts I want to listen to, select them as favorites, and have them all just a click away. Make sure you set So I'm Watching the Show as a favorite so you don't miss any new episodes. Again, the app is Podcast Republic, available on your Android device. Thanks!
Speaking of TV Co. and things that we did on TV Co., Katie Keene got canceled.
Huh? No.
Yeah.
I feel terrible that the glee is my reaction to that.
To be honest, we've talked about it on the show before. We both really enjoy doing the TV Co stuff, but I don't know that I could have stomached us doing a season 2 of that show.
It wasn't good.
It just really wasn't. It was
really boring, and it did not gel with Riverdale or Sabrina.
Agreed.
Not even remotely.
I am super bummed that Ashley Murray didn't make it happen.
I wonder if she'll just come back to Riverdale now.
Maybe. I mean, it's still 5 years later, but...
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit of a bummer because I don't want to celebrate people losing their jobs. Good people all around, but I don't know. Do a better job next time. That was terrible. Cut that. Actually, I just Googled it. It looks like they're shopping it around. Where?
Yeah, I don't know.
Not to be rude to the CW, but where do you go from the CW?
I mean...
The CW is somewhere you end up.
Yeah, I don't really know.
I don't know why this is a particular bitchy intro to our Love Victor episode.
Coming in hot.
Your show was bad and you should feel bad. Hello, everybody. I am Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching This Show, your twice weekly pop culture podcast where we talk about movies, TV, music, and more. And as always, this is a spoiler show. You have been warned. On today's episode, we're going to... I thought about prepping you for that, but I decided you do so well with surprises and bits.
Yeah, I'm always up for a surprise bit. It always works out just the way you hope it would.
I decided to take a breakneck turn left without prepping you
into talk radio.
Well, we're retooling. We're in season 3 now. We're kind of toning things up, but I was like, you know what? We should actually have a slight explanation and spoiler warning because you know us. Some people are like, oh, okay. Noted. We tend to try to ease into spoilers, so we usually try and do a few minutes up front, kind of light, and then go into hard stuff, but hey, you've been warned.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I already said this, but on today's episode, we're going to have a discussion about Love Victor.
Yay!
That's not even the song. That's not even the song from Love, Simon. It's a song from the trailer of Love, Simon. I went into Wild Heart by Bleachers.
Oh, yeah. That's a really good song, though.
Dreams. I will find any way to your wild heart. So, okay, well, Love Victor is a spinoff. It was spin-offier than I thought it was going to be.
How do you mean that?
Simon's in the show.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I thought it was going to be the suggestion of Love Simon. I didn't know it was going to be a canonical, spinoff.
Yeah, it's like an extension. It's like a few years later, it's at the same school. Natasha Rothwell is in episode 1. Everything. That was
a bummer. I was super excited for her. And then I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, she was not in more, and it was a bummer.
It apparently was developed for Disney Plus, and they chickened the fuck out as they are wont to do and sent it to Hulu. I don't know how I feel about that. A lot of people got real butthurt. I kind of get it. I don't think they sent it there because they were afraid of gay stuff. I think it was slightly more content related.
I agree with you. I wasn't necessarily butthurt that it wasn't on Disney Plus, but I also, now having watched it, I literally don't know, even content-wise, what wouldn't have fit on Disney Plus. That's not to say I don't think Hulu is probably a better home for it and will allow it to potentially do some content stuff that wouldn't fit on Disney Plus, but like this was like so gentle.
Well, it was, but it was like 85% gentle, and then there was a weird 15% kind of, oh, that's a little risque.
That's true.
So, it largely, and especially in the beginning, it was playing like, I'm going to date the fuck out of myself. It was playing more like Lizzie McGuire, even Stevens-y kind of stuff.
Sure.
And then we got a bit more CW, you know? And it was throwing me a little bit in the beginning. It honestly was. I was like, we could have gotten through this without any actual like sex talk, or there was, drinking. It was only in the one scene, but, underage drinking. There was a handful of risque things that I think they were fine. And I think, if you had a young person, you should be so lucky if this is what they're seeing.
Yeah, 100%.
But I think, the entire show could have been edged up just a tad, or go ahead and lose those handful of risque jokes and just make it like Hannah Montana.
Sure.
How old was she supposed to be on that? Like 15, right?
I think at some point she turns 15. I don't think she starts out 15 on that show.
I think they're meant to be teenagers on that show. I don't know. You've seen more of it than I have. Circumstantially.
I've been in the room when more of it's been on than you have.
So I found it to be a little bit slow starting. I was enjoying it. It was very pleasant. But the last 4 minutes, I laughed out loud several times.
Just the last 4 minutes?
Sorry, 4 episodes.
Oh, okay. I was like, the last 4 minutes are like pretty intense, actually.
I'm sorry. The last 4 episodes, I laughed out loud several times.
Yeah.
I got kind of like, whoa, or, so.
Definitely.
So the premise of the show is the aforementioned Victor and his family move from Texas to Atlanta. And you had started before I was, so you gave me a little bit of a warning that it was not a carbon copy of the movie. His parents are, I pulled this up, it's Anna Ortiz, the Anna Ortiz.
Yeah, please. And featuring Anna Ortiz. With Anna Ortiz.
And Anna Ortiz. We love her. This is not a bit where...
No, I friggin' love the crap out of her. I think she's so good at everything. She has such a natural, warm, like, pathos that just, I just always am on her side, no matter what she's done.
Yeah, she was on Ugly Betty and Devious Maids. We watched both of those, and now she's properly into her third thing. So far, this is a hit, so I'm anticipating a second season.
I should hope so, yeah.
So, yeah, she is the mother, Isabel, and James Martinez is the father, Armando. He was an interesting character that we did not get much of a window into.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing where, like... based on how it ended, I would hope that we would get more of him in a season 2, like more into him in a season 2. There was so much time spent on the mom, on Anna Ortiz, that he like just kind of went by the wayside and wasn't really doing anything other than being kind of shisty to her face all the time.
Yeah. Shisty.
That was just kind of spilled out. It's been a minute since I said that.
Anyways, I'm embarrassed for both of us.
He was being a dick to her face. There you go. Constantly. Like every scene, he just was like snide and rude.
And then we have, I cannot say his name, Michael Cimino.
I think it's Cimino.
Cimino. There you go.
I think you're putting too many letters in there.
Criminio? He was Victor. I have not seen him in anything. I've seen maybe 2 of these people in other things, but he was Victor. He was very, very sweet. That maybe I'm just getting older. Maybe my, 35-year-old brain is, catching up to me, but it was nice watching these shows because these kids looked like kids.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I looked and they were all pretty properly 18 to 25.
Yeah.
But
well, so yeah, because I think Mason Gooding is like a proper adult.
Yeah, he's like 19 though.
What?
The Andrew?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He should be older than that.
Well, now I'm looking. Hold on. He's from not Blockers.
He's from Booksmart.
There you go.
96? Doesn't that make him 24?
Is he the one that's 24? Okay.
Okay.
23. Okay, you're correct. You're correct. Sorry.
I was like, no way in hell are we getting into another Tyler Hoechlin situation.
Oh, well, yeah. I thought you were going to go Dylan Sprayberry. But
No.
Dylan Sprayberry was 14 going on 32.
Yeah, no. I don't really find Mason Gooding appealing in the way that I find Dylan Sprayberry appealing, so I wouldn't have gotten into that anyway, but...
So I thought all of these kids were very sweet. It was very sincere. It was very... it was very innocent. And that's the kind of thing that I love the most about this new ground that we're breaking, in a post, I don't know what world, because we're beyond a post Will and Grace world. I mean, even Kevin on Riverdale, it's like, now granted, this is about the painful coming out, but... Well,
yeah, but it's kind of a post Love Simon thing, because Love Simon was very innocent too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
that's the thing about the shows like this, because... It's the thing that we've talked about before where like being a gay man, even as a child, is always not a child, but like a teenager coming into your sexuality is always presented in a like strictly like aggressively sexual way. And the like Love Simon and this show are both really like they just want to kiss. It's like very cute.
Even the cartoon with like the elementary school aged kids where it was just the two boys that just liked each other.
Yeah. Heartbeats.
Like, gay love needs to be normalized.
Sweet.
And like decriminalized and desexualized and all of that. And this is doing a very good job of that. And one of my favorite things about the Love Simon brand, both it and Love Victor, is we tend to compartmentalize or disassociate and think, so you have a secret, whoop-de-doo, big what, everyone's got something they have to deal with. And these really dissect and explore and showcase the ways that it's not just one thing that he chooses not to say. It infects and infiltrates his entire life.
Yeah, definitely.
And it affects his family. It affects his friends. Like it's the kind of thing that it's like once you get into it and once you understand it, you realize it's not the kind of thing that you can just be discreet about. Do you know what I mean? Like we were little more than halfway through and, we're assuming if you're listening to this that you've watched the show, so you'll understand what we're talking about. But I was a little bit more than halfway through and I was watching this particular part with my mom and I just said, poor Mia. And my mom was like, what? Why? And we weren't even at the part where he started like screwing her over, but I could feel it coming. You know what I mean? And
100%.
It's like, she doesn't deserve what is happening to her.
Yeah.
And nor do I really judge him all that much for doing it to her.
That's the thing, because he even isn't 100% sure at that point. Because he likes her a lot. He likes her so much. And I think that's the part that is like the most heartbreaking, is because he likes her so much as a person and he even kind of likes making out with her. And he just like realizes that it's not enough at one point, and it's wild.
That's an authentic detail that I really like. They didn't put a button on it. There's this understanding with sexuality, for starters, that it's, black or white. It's one or the other. But also there's this sort of idea or belief that gay men are somehow repulsed by women.
Right.
And or even, straight men are repulsed by men and stuff like that. It's like we think of it very rigidly because, patriarchy and society and all that stuff.
Toxic masculinity.
Yeah, here's the secret. Many gay men love women and even adore making out with them, like even can think of them in sexual ways. It's like, and we didn't really get into it. I'm assuming if there's a second or third season, we will start to explore some of the more things. But I was very curious and intrigued by the fact that we seemed to be going a bisexual direction with this.
Yeah.
We didn't quite land there, and that's fine. I do think male bisexuality is important and needs to be explored far more than it is.
Yeah, it's way underrepresented.
Yeah, it's very hostile and it's very aggressive, but even amongst inclusive communities. Like, I remember I have a friend who went to drama school. She went to AMDA in New York. And one of the things she told me when coming back is it was called Gay by May. And it was like all the guys show up at college straight. And then by Christmas, they're bi. And then they're gay by May. And it's used to really sort of diminish and discredit them.
Yeah.
It's like, and unfortunately, it's frequently true, but it's not always true. And you shouldn't belittle someone about this. And I think my favorite thing, because at first I was a little bit kind of put off, because for like 4 or 5 episodes, he keeps talking about how confused he was. And for some reason, it was kind of rubbing me the wrong way. But I got there. With it all. And I was like, for me, at least, I'm going to try not to talk about myself this whole time, but this is very personal to me for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
I was a young gay. It was fairly obvious to, most of my peers and people around me, but I, at the time, didn't want to be. I had my own issues, trauma. At the time, my family was, moderately conservative, moderately religious and stuff. And so I was actively fighting it. And yet I would have my classmates, not only assuming I was gay, but judging me for it. They were punishing me for this crime that I had not committed. And it really stained the experience for me. And I thought of being gay as failure. I thought about, I couldn't admit it for the longest time, and I'm talking well beyond having sex with men. You know what I mean? It's like, I was like 20.
I mean, it's just so weirdly and grossly presented as abnormal. And it's just not.
What was I, 25 or 26 by the time I started just saying I'm gay? Like, I wouldn't even say it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I didn't want to be the fool. I didn't want to prove them right. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not going to let you win this. And ultimately, I had to understand that it's not a fight to be won or lost. And also, most of those people suck. And and that's not true. Most of them don't. And a good deal of them have made amends with me.
Yeah, but the rest of them are flat earth truthers.
Just the two.
And we know that for a fact.
That is a real story. Just the two. And we're not friends. We just are connected on Facebook. Yikes. But
this episode's kind of sloppy. Will's got his work cut out for him.
I really tried to tighten it up, but no. And this show did a really good job of exploring that without it being cue cards that the actors were reading. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So did you have anything kind of broad you wanted to say about it, or?
I mean, just in general, I really, really, really liked it. I thought it was very sweet. I thought it handled everything correctly. I think the nuances of actual high school relationships were handled well and interestingly. Yeah, I don't really have anything general to say beyond the fact that I just really liked it, and I could have dealt with like a little less sass from Pilar.
Oh my God.
She's honestly my biggest complaint.
Yeah, I was pining for Polly Cooper. And I was bummed because remember how sad I was about the Love, Simon movie where he wouldn't. I was like, would he hug his sister? She was trying so hard and he just and so I was kind of hoping for like a 2.0 and we did not. We went in a different direction. And it's a valid character. It's a valid trope. And she wasn't, by the end, she was not as bad as she could have
and
been.
And she certainly had reason to be annoying and bitchy and like crabby at everybody, but it was really grating me by the end.
Which that was bold. That was bold storytelling. The issue with the parents, with Isabel having an affair and all of that stuff. And to have it told in, this is rated TV 14. But I think aside from a handful of risque jokes and some very matter-of-fact discussions of young sexuality, I think it's fine. I think
me too.
10, 11, 12, if they are heading that direction, let them. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And it's in that regard that I do sort of wish it was on Disney Plus. The issue I have with Disney Plus, I have several issues with Disney Plus, but hypocritical. They're non-consistent because it's like the Pirates of the Caribbean movies are on there, and those movies are graphic.
Yeah.
Like, they are insanely violent. I mean, for whatever reason, because I thought it was rude when it happened. It stuck with me the whole time. But remember in the third movie, there's the scene with like the two geishas in like the pirate island, and both geishas are just shot point blank in the head.
I don't remember that. I think I've only seen the third one once. So
it offended me because they were going to bring them with them. And I thought, oh, fun. These will be fun characters to have on the show.
Sure.
And then I mean, I'm a little sensitive to like violence against women, but it was like, yikes, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Even in the first one, I mean, there's so many like body jokes and also like a lot of leering from Jeffrey Rush to an 18-year-old Keira Knightley. It's like, it's not super appropriate.
And I mean, I love the Pirates of in concept, let's go that far. I'm fond of the Pirates of the Caribbean brand. And, I think it does belong on Disney Plus, but, not to mention Star Wars. Star Wars is relatively graphic or is capable of being so. And
lots of people die in the National Treasure movies.
Well, it's not just death, but I don't know. They're very sort of, well, Disney, I said it with brand. Disney's about branding more so than actual, not logistics.
Like logic.
But
Logic is correct.
Yeah. And so it's like, it can be tricky where it's like, I mean, I hate to say it, but I do believe that I don't think the decision to move this to Hulu was homophobically based.
No.
However, I do believe that if this was about a straight teenager, it would have eked through.
Yes.
Like I said, I'm not judging them too hard on it, especially because there were the handful of like, risque jokes and comments and stuff. But again, content wise, I think it was actually very appropriate for.
Yeah, it also just still is a bummer that we have to be having these caveats.
Yeah, but we're closer than, I mean, this is a big deal.
we are closer than ever, and yet still so far.
Yeah, the show was a big deal. And like I said, I mean, the show itself was very innocent and very sort of like pragmatic. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, I mean, that just sort of means like you're
practical.
Like a realist. Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. And I mean that. I think kind of realistic, like matter, like dealing with the subject matter head on, and not being, in spite of calling it innocent, it was not precious. So
yeah,
I figure we'll just talk a little bit about the cast. And then if plot points pop up, we'll talk about them and then be done. I was very impressed by Rachel Hilson.
Yes.
She, I think, was the best actor. Well, that makes it sound like it makes it sound like they're competing. I don't mean that, but her acting skills struck me.
Skills, okay, yes. I have a very soft spot for BB Wood because she was also on The Real O'Neills. Mm-hmm. She was the sister on that, and so I really enjoyed her on that, and consequently, I very much enjoyed her on this. But yeah, skills, I think, yes, I'll agree with that. She's gonna go places.
Yeah, the comparison was it was not what I meant to do. My point was that I wanted to actually showcase the fact that there were times where Rachel, she was a good reactress. She was engaging. Yeah. She did a lot with her eyes. She did a lot with her face. She pulled you in when she needed to. She
also got some of the most consistently deep character work. Yeah. Where like from almost the beginning, she's like in the deep end. Like that's the thing about Mia is like on top of her boyfriend turning out to be gay and she doesn't even get to find out in a nice way. She is dealing with. That bummed me
out a little bit.
Yeah, me too. Because he was trying so hard. Mm-hmm. But she also is dealing with like a ton of shit at home, thanks to Mekhi Phifer and what the hell's her name now? Sophia Bush.
Which they like had the audacity to try and play off like some old maid. She is 37.
She's also so hot.
Yeah. And they were just talking about like him dating some older woman. And I was like, excuse me.
I think the point was that she was older than most of his other girlfriends.
It still was odd.
Like he was dating too young generally.
Yeah. And I thought Mia's beef with her was weird. I can't go as far as to say out of character, but.
Oh, no. I actually thought it was good.
Okay.
I thought it was good and interesting. I can't speak to this because, my parents weren't divorced or anything, but I found it refreshing because you could see a couple of times she was sort of trying, but then something would pop up and she would be like, absolutely not, this is ridiculous. And to be fair, they were moving very quickly.
They were
in their relationship.
And she was trying very hard to be unaffected by her issues with her mother.
Yes.
And I think it would catch up with her very quickly and very suddenly.
Yeah, and you would have to...
I'm fine, don't worry about it. And then she'd be like, I'm not fine and I'm worried about it. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think you would have to imagine that her dad has never had a girlfriend this serious before. And so to see it being so serious and so quickly for Mia, even though it might have been happening a little more slowly in their own personal life, I think she obviously was being bitchy like a 15 and 16-year-old girl would be. But I think her feelings were coming from a true place. And I think that you can't discount that. And I also can't discount the fact that Sophia Bush was handling her end of it very well.
Really well.
Also, so
Mekhi
well.
Phifer was pretty worthless.
I know, right? What the hell, man?
I mean, if you're providing that level, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess you can emotionally slack off and make
That
the
house
women
is
take care of it.
Pretty sweet.
Everything was white. Oh my God, it was so amazing. But yeah, it just like, and by the end when Mia came in and just started crying.
Amazing. That's the thing. It's so good. It's such a good payoff because those are the moments where that moment particularly is where I think it really comes into focus that Mia's been being so prickly because she doesn't want a mother, but she desperately wants and needs a mother.
I guess I didn't even see it that way. Okay.
Yeah. So here is this perfectly nice woman, you know, not trying to replace her mother, but trying to be a mother figure. And she like cannot handle it until she's over the edge and she needs it so badly that she accepts it. The whole storyline really worked for me. Not in that I thought Mia was behaving necessarily appropriately, but it really worked for me from a place of truth because it felt very correct.
Moving on to BB Wood, I think I was in episode 2 where I was like, why is this girl so familiar? And I didn't look her up, but I had to think about it for a second. And I was like, oh, she's from The Real O'Neills and she's got a few years on her. And
she's not wearing glasses. She had really big glasses on that.
She's very funny. She sort of reminds me of, I forgot her name. That actress that played young Snow White on Once Upon a Time.
Bailey Madison.
Yeah. She very naturally has the talent and the comedic chops.
Yes.
And if she can just continue honing it, she's going to be great.
I find her so appealing. She's so funny and she's so cute. And she has almost like a little chipmunk voice. And she's, I don't know, her deliveries are so exceptional. And she obviously gets the comedy because she's, you know, the quote unquote best friend. She is so good. I can't wait to see her keep doing stuff.
It was an interesting take on this character. Yeah. Because I think the instinct would be to make her the pretty socially obsessed bitch. And while she had elements of that, she also was kind of like a weird, pathetic mess. And it just rang a little bit more honest.
It did. And it also, boy howdy, that scene with Leslie Grossman. I could die. That was so brilliantly captured because you find out so much about her in that scene because you find out that she used to be heavy and she's lost a lot of weight, which makes her mother very proud. But it's then her mother goes into this really icky gaslighting place where it's like, you know, you're not smart, so your looks are all you've got, is what she essentially says to her at one point. And it's just like, whoa.
I missed that line because I was about to be like, her mother wasn't entirely that. Yeah, wow.
No, she's like, your grades aren't the best, so you have to like work with what you're good at.
Yeah, wow.
You have to you have to get used to putting your best foot forward, I think is her exact line. And I just was like, oh my God. Because Leslie Grossman is like a newswoman in this.
An anchor.
An anchor, yeah, sorry. And it just is, I don't know. That's all that stuff really struck me. And then on top of that fact, the boy who's had a crush on her the entire show, Felix, who I also have a lot to say about, is hiding under her bed, hearing all of this stuff that her mother's saying to her. And so she's rightfully mortified, like more so than she would have been if her mother was just saying that stuff to her.
Mm-hmm. She's also trying on clothes for her mother to presumably pick apart.
Exactly. And that's pretty late in the game, but up until then, you're right. She is just sort of like the bitchy best friend who's like very supportive of Mia, but also is like totally shutting down Felix at every opportunity and lusting after Andrew and trying to get him to go out with her.
Yeah, she seemed like a popular girl, but like I said, I appreciate the nuance that it's like they were taking, you know, elements from tropes, but not, it wasn't cliche, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah, their whole thing was really, really cute, really good. The biggest issue I had with Felix is how hard the show bent over backwards to make him seem like he was unappealing.
Yeah,
he was too cute. And he was a little weird, but it was too funny and charming to be genuinely off-putting.
So I'll tell you, the only thing that kept me at an arm's length from him for a minute is that I thought they were going to turn around and turn him into the guy from Love, Simon, who outs Simon. And I was like, I cannot handle that. And so that was the only thing that kept him at an arm's length. But then he just kept being adorable and amazing.
When he hugged Victor.
I know.
And there was no gay panic. He didn't even do the, oh no, do you like me? Uh-oh. Like
exactly. And it's like, no, Felix, Benji has way better hair than you do. No, but I agree. I really enjoyed all of the Felix stuff and all of the Felix and Lake stuff after she got over herself.
Although, poor Wendy. But also, I feel like Wendy will land on her feet.
Wendy's fine. Wendy knows exactly what she is.
She's a special kind of person, and there 100%. There is a fellow.
Yeah, a Wendell, if you will.
Yeah, there you go. All I could think of was Sarah Marshall, where he's like, I'm missing the flip flop, and he's like, this one's fellow. That's what I was thinking, but
no, Wendy absolutely. Wendy knows exactly who she. Wendy's like a Luna Lovegood.
She shooted her shot. Shot her shot.
Yeah.
There you go. That sounds weird. She shot her shot.
She looked at Felix and said, "I'm gonna shoot my shot," and then she did, and she was like, "That's what I got."
And even what was his name, like Xander or something, the guy that Lake went out with, Kieran, where she was just like, you're going to the dance with me. And he was like, okay. And his friends like look at him and he's like, what? I like bossy women.
Yeah.
And I was like, that kid's going to go far if he understands what he's about that early.
Yeah, 100%.
But it was very, very cute. You mentioned Benji. Boy, howdy, would I have been Victor in this situation. I would have been head over heels for Benji. But he was weird. He registered older to me, several ways over.
Yeah.
And that's a thing frequently with gay youth. You know, a lot of times they find members of the community who are a little bit older and a little bit wiser, and it leads to trouble. I wouldn't be surprised if in some version he was meant to be like 18 or like a freshman in college or something. It had that vibe to me, especially with them meeting through work.
Yeah.
I think if this were...
But he did go to the high school.
Yeah, and so that made it a little strange. His deal got weirder to me as the show went on. I did not understand his relationship with Derek. I did not understand his desire to be with or stay with Derek because he seemed like a bit of a bad boy.
So I think, to me, it sort of felt like, because didn't he say he had only come out the year before? So I think Derek was his first boyfriend. Yeah. And so I think Derek had been out for longer. And so I understand the instinct to want to cling to your first relationship.
I guess.
To want to like make it work. But Derek was a dick.
That wasn't suiting Benji for me. It was like what I know about Benji that didn't feel like that character.
Well, it also, I felt them sort of resisting and then giving in weird spots to making Benji like the male version of a manic pixie dream girl. Mm-hmm. There was like a little too much whimsy in Benji to like make him a fully realized character.
Well, and he was like, by the time Victor kisses him, he was so completely thrown. I was like, then why did you spend the last 4 episodes seducing him?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest. They're just like, flirtily making cappuccinos at the coffee shop and like dancing with brooms after closing time. And then
to Call Me Maybe.
Yeah.
Victor's favorite song when he was little.
Yeah, it hurt my feelings.
Hi, I'm 100 years old.
But then he also was like, oh my God, Victor, please come with me on this overnight road trip. And I'm like, what were you expecting to have happen?
You can
and
share the bed with me.
Yeah. But oops, there's only one bed in this hotel room.
I didn't know that was such a trope.
Oh, it's such a trope. Such a trope. And then, like, where did Victor sleep? At the vending machine?
Probably.
Unbelievable.
They didn't pick the conversation back up until the next day's afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where it was a TV show.
But that was the other thing, too. It's like that because that's where that trip is when we found out that Benji lost his driver's license because he got too high and drove into a Wendy's or something. Mm-hmm. And I just was like, this is too deep of a thing now to have in Benji's character after he's been so whimsical for like the first 5 episodes. It's a little, it's very jarring.
Right? That's where he needed to have been older for it to make more sense, in which case Victor needed to be. I mean, look, above board, do everything legal, don't break the law, don't do any of this stuff. However, sometimes when you're a teenager, it's like 16, 17, 18, people who are a year or two older. It's like, I remember I had a friend in high school. She was 16 and 17 and her boyfriend was 18 and 19. And so it's like, it's a thing that does happen. Her parents knew, they had met him, they worked together, stuff. So hold on. My computer's dying. I need to get my...
Okay.
Hold on.
One eternity later.
The prospect of having to go get your computer cord to plug your computer in always feels so harrowing.
Yeah.
But then by the time you're actually doing it, you're like, this is so easy. I don't know why
You're like, I gotta get up and go all the way over there.
And it's gotta
come all the way back over here.
So you gotta pull hard to get it out.
Yeah.
Like, I have to bend down. Like,
I was just gonna say that I understand the age difference thing. When I was like barely 15 as a sophomore, and I was dating a senior who turned 18 before the end of the school year, and we didn't do anything, but that was, my parents were rightfully a little bit like, well, he has to come here and meet us and stuff, and we ended up going to the prom together, which was, I mean, looking back, it was just sort of like, I was so out of my depth in that situation, but at the time, I was like, this is what I deserve.
Well, and especially
it's just what I need.
Also with like queer youth, it's like off the top of my head, I can think of 4 friends who were involved in some manner with someone who was older as a teenager, and appropriately so, or I'll say within reason. That's what I will say.
Well, I mean, not to get too deep into personal things, but I was also 21 hooking up with a 33-year-old when I was in college. That's, totally different like eras of your life. We had nothing in common except for that we worked at the same place. It just is, there are discussions to be had, I think.
I agree. I just don't know if this climate is the right, because I mean, if you so much as
I am not
sneeze the wrong way.
Well, sure. I'm absolutely not advocating for anything illegal. I'm just saying that there are
day under a person's 18th birthday, they are a literal child, and you are a pedophile if you notice them. And that is all I have to say about that.
Okay, cut all.
I mean, tell me it's not true.
No, I mean, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
How are we gonna dig out of this one?
Yeah, Will is gonna be like, so
I've got some notes for your first few episodes back.
I thought they were gonna make Benji a little bit older, but they didn't, and that was the right choice.
Yes, it was good that they were like in the same grade, presumably, or like one grade apart.
His issue with Victor felt like one of the few places that they leaned into drama for drama's sake. The rest of it felt pretty motivated. Yeah,
it felt to me like I remember being a little angry at Simon's friends after everything all came out, about like after he came out, was forcibly pushed out, and they like found out that he was like setting up the one friend with the guy, the like mean guy. And I just was like, I don't understand how you don't know how impossible of a situation he was put in, like how you can't have like empathy for that. And so I was in kind of a similar place with Benji where I was like, he kissed you once, dude. You are, and Benji just was like, I can't see you ever again. I'm quitting my job. Don't talk to me at school. And I was like, what?
And again, to be continually problematic, he let him on.
A little. But sincerely, I just was like, you are well overreacting to this. And I mean, if their point was that he was also having feelings for Victor, but he didn't want to like betray his boyfriend, then that's one thing, but they didn't hit that hard enough.
Well, they did, but it was in the end when Benji and spoiler Victor get together and he's like, I liked you too the whole time. I just felt bad because of this. And I was like, I suppose.
Yeah, it was not handled as deftly as the Simon and Bram stuff.
Yeah, because Derek sucked. I mean, even at the party, he was real self-righteous. And it's like, look, I understand that we're here and we're queer and you need to get used to it. But
but maybe a friend of your, like a very new friend of your boyfriend's strict Catholic family is not the place to
you also though
do that.
Wouldn't believe how frequently when I would go over to my friends' houses, I would be like, do they know I'm gay? And my friends would be like, that doesn't matter. And I'd be like, you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
You would be surprised.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you need to give people heads up sometimes. Now, not some more because we're adults and the world is slightly different, maybe. But yeah, when we were like 18, because I remember Chris, his family, after like, because remember we were like best friends that one summer?
Yeah.
And it was like after like the 3rd or 4th week of June, his parents were like, do you need to talk to us about anything? And he was like, no. And she was like, okay, I just want to make sure that like, you know, that if you need to tell us. And he was like, oh, Will's just my friend.
Amazing.
Did I ever tell you that?
I don't think you ever told me that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, they were like, okay, well. Because also Felix and Victor being best friends, and that didn't come up.
I know, it was so cute. I really, really, really liked this show, but there were a couple of missteps in everything, and that was definitely one of them. The Benji stuff, even though it was very cute, and Benji is very cute.
Him making the latte or whatever.
Yeah.
With the like with his arms.
Yeah.
And Victor squirted foam all over him. I was like, oh God.
Yeah, it was a lot. But I thought it was handled as well as it could have been and just like stumbled into the finish, I kind of feel like, which hopefully there will be an exploration of that moving forward. But that was but one of the missteps. And I think most of the missteps actually did happen with Victor's family for me.
Like what?
Well, Pilar, which we already mentioned for a minute, I couldn't get on board with her being that mad about everything. Like even just like having to go to school. She seemed very just furious about having to do anything in a way that didn't feel realistic for a teenage girl, I guess. I
don't know. I found it to be fair.
Well, I mean,
I didn't go to school when I was a teenager, so
fine. No, and then once we do find out about Isabel's affair, that also puts her in like a really weird spot with Isabel, and that's fine. Mother-daughter tension is an interesting thing to explore, but then she goes on such a rampage in that final episode at the dance where she is certain that she has ferreted out that Victor is cheating on Mia.
Yeah, she didn't stumble upon that information. She like laboriously sought it out. Like
she was looking for $20, but
sure. But I was thinking that she was going to see it like on his laptop or something.
Sure.
And she was like combing through his shit, unfolding the letter to read it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
Like, that's not like it fell and you were like, oh no, before I realized I had read the sentence. And no,
right. I agree. It was very sketchy. And then she was like, just walking up to people she's never even met before and demanding information.
Well, and furthermore, it's like if that, and granted, boys' brothers are different than other types of siblings, but it was like if it's something like that happened with my brother, either of us would be like, is there something that you want to talk to me about?
Sure. She did not.
How dare you?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
she didn't go straight to him and ask him. She went straight to every other person and was like, "Do you know a girl with the first initial B?"
Hey, Benji, do you know someone with a name with the letter B that works with Victor? And he's like, nope. And she's like, she couldn't figure it out.
Exactly.
She couldn't put her mermaid on it.
And then she very much is like, well, mom cheated. I guess you learned it from watching her.
From you.
And I just was like, wow, you're killing me. Especially because at like so many points in the episode, Victor is literally like, I am handling this as best I can. Will you please give me 5 minutes? And nobody will give him 5 minutes. And that's how it like explodes in his face. I felt so bad for him. He was just trying so hard to do the nice, right thing.
Which brings me back to my first point. This is why we need to just let people be who and what they are.
100%.
Because otherwise, you're going to pull a lot of collateral down with you. And
100%.
It's like, I mean, it's old, but it's an oldie but a goodie. I remember, a protest sign from when I was back in high school. And it was like, the guy had a sign that said, "Would you rather I married your daughter?" Like,
yeah,
is
I do
that
like
your
that
preferred reality?
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, well, the show actually, I was about to say, who's to say? Maybe Victor's a little bi, but the show is pretty clear about that.
Yeah.
I did want to say, though, before we go, something that I really appreciated, and it felt weird to me, but that weirdness was authentic to my experience. But something that I really appreciated was how put off Victor was by New York when he got there.
Oh, I liked that too.
You did like that? Okay.
I did like that too because, well, all of Bram and Simon's roommates came on so strong.
Not Justin.
Yeah, they hit him at an 11, like coming in the door there. And it just was like, for a kid from a conservative home and a conservative upbringing in Texas to basically be like, I think I might be gay, to be thrust into that situation, I think would be very alarming and I would be standoffish as well. Mm-hmm. I found it also very realistic. I agree with you.
Which also, I mean, he charged in there guns blazing. I was glad that Simon was like, hey, I couldn't miss this. I need to see you. Because for a while I was like, is this like consensual? Like, is this like, because it was very much like Victor had just best friended the shit out of Simon and Simon was just trying his best. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, but and then I did really
reciprocal is what I meant to say, not consensual.
Okay. Well, okay. Gotcha. That makes more sense. No, but I did really like that because Victor is like relatively rightfully put out that Simon has confided in all of his roommates about Victor. But then when he's like, I don't have the same experiences you do, but they all had like a piece of it. I was like, that's like a nice explanation. And I liked that. And I thought it went a long way to being good.
And it is culture shock.
Yeah,
it really
for sure.
is. I waded, WADE, I waded into the LGBTQ pool. You know what I mean? A lot of people dive right in and it can be a lot to take. Do you know what I mean? And I appreciated the honesty and the straightforwardness of it. Because another thing is, I would even say, I mean, I think the show is good for young people, but maybe even if you're just like a parent who might have a concern, maybe watch something like this,
sure.
for yourself, just kind of educationally or whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
And like I said, I mean, we hit it before, but it was like even the stuff with the parents, it was very interesting to explore that subject matter because it's real. You want to sit here and go, I don't know, is parents having an affair appropriate for like a kid's TV show? And it's like, well, it happens to kids
all the time.
And I love that they explored, because I forgot to mention that, I mean, I saw it coming, but also, I had already forgotten that the show ended with them deciding to separate.
Yeah.
And I like that they even acknowledge the conversation that with families, because my family's conservative logic was parents stay together because it's better for the kids. Sometimes, maybe, but also not always, is a unhealthy relationship better for the kids?
I would argue no.
And it's like, well, it depends on what are the options, it's case by case and the weird, judgmental conservative, and I mean so more by the direct the denotation of the word, not connotation, but it's like conservative ideals don't always work. You know what I mean? It's like
definitely.
You gotta let him live. I'm a little worried about Victor's dad.
Just in general?
Yeah. Well, with Victor coming out. I mean, he was pretty supportive of, what was his name? The younger son? Adrian. With the Elsa wand.
Yeah, but then he made a comment at the end of that episode where he was like, let's hope he doesn't turn out like your grandpa thinks he will. And I was just like, oh, God.
Simon's dad did that, too.
Yeah, but I think Simon's dad was making off-color jokes in a way that, like, that was more of a, I'm going to pray to the Virgin Mary tonight that your brother doesn't end up the way that your grandmother thinks he will. Yeah, right. No, it was a little more pointed. I'm also just a little worried for Armando in general, because I do feel that he's never lived without a woman. I'm a little concerned about what's going to happen. Are you
implying that his mother was overbearing?
Well, I wasn't going to say overbearing. I'm implying that he lived with his mother until he got married to Isabel. And then he lived with her.
Shout out to Katya, the drag queen.
Yeah.
At the bar. She's just a real drag queen, and I like her.
I figured.
Okay. She's the one that does the videos with Trixie.
Oh, okay.
I was like, you know who she is.
Yeah, I know the name.
I also liked the juxtaposition of Felix and Lake's relationship, how that is sort of a relationship that we typically see from gay characters, where it's like they're having the hookups and stuff, but it has to be private.
It's like a secret.
I thought it was a nice little kind of like, see, maybe we're not so different after all.
Yeah.
I wrote down super cute a lot. Oh, well, I liked that Felix was sleeper cute.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, that kid was a babe.
He was, I agree with you. I was on the same team where I was like, what boy are you looking at? Because this boy in front of me is very cute.
The hoarders thing was interesting and
yeah, that's the thing is, like, I did really enjoy when this show went deep, when it did it like a handful of times, where it went to a place that was several levels deeper than I thought it was going to be.
But we managed to keep our heads above water. It wasn't
it wasn't like a down deep in a hole. It just was like it went to more sincere places in that respect, in like a darker respect than I thought I was going to, like dealing with real actual problems. And that was what I found interesting. That's what I think pushed it over the edge, like you said earlier, where like it didn't turn into something, it was very sweet, but it didn't turn into something saccharine. And I think it was having all of these realistic bad things that weren't like overblown bad things.
There's probably plenty more to say, but I think that was a general discussion about it. And I would say, is there anything else that you wanted to touch on that you can remember, or? Not
specifically. No, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was super cute pretty much the whole way through. I mostly smiled the whole time I was watching it. I thought it was really good.
I hope it gets to season 2, and I'm interested because this also felt like this is the kind of show where a season 2, I could easily see season 2 being better, because I think there was a lot of finding its footing and establishing. Yeah. I think exploring all of these characters could just return more results.
100%. I felt strange when I found out that the show was half an hour, and it's not that I think it needed to be an hour, but I think it could have easily been like 35-minute episodes.
I think it felt that way. Not in like it felt longer than it was, but in like it was able to so consistently convey the information it needed to in such an appropriate amount of time.
Concise, but I do still think I would have liked a little more breathing room. Again, I didn't feel stifled or anything, and I do like it being so concise, because I think I think sometimes that's necessary. Teen shows do have a tendency to get really overblown, and this was very breezy in a way that a lot of teen shows aren't. But I just think I could have handled, like, 2 25 more total minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I
Well,
think.
we would have spent more time with all of their families, basically.
Which I think based on what we got from Mekhi Phifer, Sophia Bush, and Leslie Grossman, I think that only could have made it shine even more.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, again, that's a very minor complaint, but that was one thing that I thought.
Okay, cool.
All right. Well, we obviously recommend Love Victor, streaming on Hulu now. So go check it out if you're at all inclined. Very cute. We definitely 2 thumbs up.
And actually, before we go, we should say, in case you haven't heard the news, we have partnered with the app TV Co. That is TVCO. It is a social media interactive, I need to write this down if I'm going to do this. I need to. It's an app for watching television, and it's like communities and stuff, and you can do watch parties and recaps and stuff. And we are currently recapping season 1 and 2 of Riverdale.
Yep.
So if you would like to watch us talk about Riverdale in 20-minute, there's got to be a word for like quick bites. What is it?
Are you being serious?
Yeah, it was a misguided Quibi joke. I don't know why I went into like a Quibi bit. It was weird.
I don't either.
So
I didn't know that's what it was short for. What a stupid thing.
That's what everybody says. I'm the only one who shrugged. Everyone else is like angry when they find out that's what it is.
It's just such a stupid thing.
So
TV Co is
so join us on Quibi. I don't know.
Fun.
Don't let me do this part. Yes. So head over to TV Co. TVCO. I can't even advertise our own.
Download the app. Search for Riverdale or search for @So I'm Watching. You'll find us. You can watch all of our recaps. And despite the fact that it was canceled, if you're feeling frisky, you can watch all of our coverage of Katie Keene as well.
Yes.
All right. So once you do that, you can follow us on Twitter @So I'm Watching. Instagram @So I'm Watching This Show. You can also go to our website, soimwatching.com, which links out to everything. And that's where you'll be able to keep the most up to date with everything that's happening with us and the podcast. And then other than that, just please rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes or wherever you listen. And that's it for us.
Cool.
Bye.